Are you interested in investing but don't know what to invest into? Well, you're at the right place because I am going to make a tier list of the investment possibilities. Some things are not here, but I try to put as many things, the most common things, and maybe if you want, we can later on dwell into the more deeper things. But this is pretty much what most of you have heard about. So there are some really good methods here and really bad methods here, and then some of methods. So let's start. We're starting with a really good one. We have index funds. So index funds are going straight into S tier. Index funds are your basically mimicking the market. So if you're from the US, it would be the American market, for example. If you're from the Europe, it would be the European market, and so on. You take the whole market and you just basically take all the stocks from the market and combine them, mush them into one. And so it's the performance of the whole market, the whole economy. And for the past 30 years, this has been 9% yield every year. So people who have been invested for multiple years start to get the ball rolling. They're getting the snowball and end up with huge returns. This is the safest and the best way. It's not the safest in the risk, but it's the safest in the risk compared to the word, right? Reward. So index funds for me are total S tier, and it's really for 90% of the people the only thing you need. So, but don't start watching the video because some other options are here. So for example, real estate, I personally am even more of a fan than index funds, but I'll put it into A tier. The reason I'm putting it into A tier is there are more problems with buying a property. You have to do your research, you have to get a good deal, but most importantly, you have to amass a lot of money before you can buy a property. Especially nowadays when the market is really bad, especially if you're like Gen Z or something and are looking to invest, even a millennial or so. If you're on the younger side, buying a real estate might be really hard for you. You might need to get a mortgage, and then you have this debt on yourself, and it's not the greatest if you're a beginner, if you're young. But if you already have a lot of money, it's really great. You get passive income, you get a property, you get a place. If things were to turn out the worst, you have somewhere to live. You can rent it out, and most importantly, the price of the property is also rising. So it's like dividend investing on steroids, So that's about it for real estate. Very good option, but not viable for most people. That's why index funds are the S tier, because it's viable to absolutely everyone, and you do not have the struggles related to that. But obviously, I prefer real estate, but that's the higher level of investing. Index funds are the GOAT. Dividend stocks. So I just mentioned them talking about real estate. Dividend stocks are tricky. You might have heard if you are into investing. If not, then probably not. But many people are talking about, I have this dividend investing portfolio, and then I retired. I get my 2K a month, and I don't need to spend anything, and I just make money, reinvest it, and I'm free, I'm financially independent, and so on. And while this might be true for some people, it's not as great as it seems, and that's why I'll put it into C tier. So why is it not as great as it seems? It actually takes a lot, especially in the current market, a lot of money to amass to actually get some decent dividends. So this might be, depending on how you invest, what stocks, with the decisions that you make, this might be between 500K to $1 million in the minimum to start getting reasonable dividends that you can actually live off of. There are stocks that are high dividend yield stocks, but that is something that I'll probably talk about in a special video. So for high dividend yield stocks, it might be different, but for dividend stocks, it's a lot of work, a lot of research. You need to find different stocks that give high dividend yield, but they might not be good individual stocks. It's a mess. For me personally, it's a mess, and putting the money into index funds will probably give you higher returns. And if you already amassed so much money as a million or something, then you can just return like you can withdraw like 4% every year, and just basically get more than if you do the dividends. So it's a cool concept. I get why people are into it, but personal idea, it's not that great. Now let's go into bonds. So bonds for me are gonna be a C tier as well. So what are bonds? Bonds are basically like stocks. They're lower risk and lower reward. So that's pretty much it. And that's why they're in C. It's very safe. It's better than no investing at all. But yeah, C tier. Financial advisors. Financial advisors. Ooh, I'm really tempted to put it into F, but I'll put it into D. Financial advisors, to me, this just indicates scam, similar as most of the like financial gurus you see online that try to sell you like their plans and whatnot. Usually they don't know much, you know. They might have a degree from finance or from the economics or something, but in reality they just are looking for a cut for provision, for a percentage from your money, for giving you some advice. But advice many times is not very good. I don't think there's a better advice in investing in general than just like going for whatever will end up in the S tier by the end of this list, or like possibly S and A tier. There's just no better advice. So paying for financial advisors is a total scam. However, I can totally see how, if you're more conservative and really don't know anything about investing, and possibly don't even either believe videos like this one, or feel like you want to actually visit someone more professional, you know, you feel like if you pay for advice, it's a better advice. If you go to the financial advisor and they tell you this, it's gonna be good for you, even if you have to pay for it. But most of the time it's just an F tier. But I think there are even worse ideas than to go to financial advisor, and that's why it's gonna end up in D tier. But already D tier is pretty bad. Now, 401k, IRA, Roth IRA, and so on. If you are from America, you should definitely get these. There's a massive benefit. If you are not, maybe try to search if there are some accounts which provide similar benefits to these. You can search it up online, but basically there's some limit up until which you can invest into these accounts. There's massive benefits, and you should try to max them out as soon as possible, even before like going into like index funds and so on. And then this is step number 2. This is step number 1. But you know, if you don't want to overcomplicate it, this can just be a step number 1. Next up, we have crypto, and you might see that I did something here, and I split crypto and meme coins. So I thought it would be a bit unfair to lump, let's say, Bitcoin and Ethereum with some other meme coins, right, or like the rest of the crypto, because Bitcoin is actually not as bad as it might seem, but it is very risky, and it is not a safe investment. It's very volatile, and for that reason I'll put crypto, and maybe I should just call this like Bitcoin, because mostly, I mean, I have invested into Bitcoin and so far it's been going pretty well, but overall, yeah, I mean, for that reason I have to put it into B, but you know, take this with a grain of salt. It's very risky, and as I said, I only recommend investing into like mostly S and maybe A tier. So this is not something I would recommend, but it is a thing. Now we have bank. So what I mean by bank is basically just having your money in the bank. So you don't have it in your couch, right? You don't have it under your pillow or in a sock or something. You have your money in the bank. Most of the time this does nothing. It's just more convenient to have it in the bank. It's like more protected. So it's better than the F tier, but you know, that's about it. Next up, we have life insurance. So I'll put life insurance in like F or C. I'll probably put it in like F, but like at the beginning. Life insurance is not really investing. Basically, if you were to die, if something were to happen to you, you can get some money, but this is more of a insurance for your life, not really investing. So let's just move on. We have Forex, a very controversial one. So if you are in the space of finance, you probably heard about Forex. So it's trading the currency markets, like the euros and dollars. And when if you talk to some like finance bros, finance gurus and whatever, they will tell you that they make crazy money on the Forex, day trading and whatnot. But personally, I have not seen anyone in my circles. I have not seen any success stories, only failures, and it's just too speculative, takes up too much of your time. You cannot really focus on the stuff that you then want to do. And so I see it as a total scam, not something I would recommend. So F for Forex. Now, no investing. I'm going to put it in D, but at the end of the D, because I think doing something like Forex or doing some other things that are going to end up in the F tier is worse. But non-investing is definitely not something you should do. So D and F, I think it's something you shouldn't do, with the exception of life insurance or also putting your money into the bank, right? It's not something you shouldn't do. It's just something that's not really an investing, I guess I should say. D and F, not investing. Penny stocks, that's a straight up F tier. Penny stocks are basically these cheap, small stocks where you're hoping for a big turnout, like 10x, 100x, 1000x, and so on. It can happen, very, very unlikely. It's something like meme coins and crypto. It's something like Forex. It's just not really a viable for investing. It's more of a gambling, and I'm not trying to advise people to gamble. I try to help people how to invest and how to make as much money as possible, how to get wealthy, how to get financially free, and so on and so on. Next up, we have stocks. So these are individual stocks. I'll put them straight into B tier. Actually, I'll put them into A tier. So I don't think stocks and crypto should be at the same. Stocks are a bit of a less of a risk and a bit of a less of a reward, but definitely better than crypto. They can be pretty good depending on what stock you pick. So I don't know, Nvidia has been doing really, really well recently. If you have been invested into like the FANG firms like Facebook, Amazon, the Google, right, or like any like big financial stocks or big tech stocks and so on, basically anything in like the top 100 biggest companies, or I don't know, for the past like I don't know, 50 years, doesn't really matter, you've been doing pretty well yourself. So individual stocks are good. The problem is you can, on the off chance, pick one that just doesn't work very well, and then you're not doing well either. So index funds, so much better than stocks, and for that reason, I'll have to put them in S. But if you believe in some stock, if you're the biggest fan of Nvidia or something, then maybe just doing that is better for you. But index funds, better yield, more safe. NFTs, straight up F for NFTs. This is just crazy. So it's like similar than investing into art, but if you would really, really want to invest into art, then just buy real art, please. There's no value. It's a scam. I am proud to say that I never bought a single NFT, and I never will. And that's about it. Meme coins, similarly, F tier. Yeah, self-explanatory. Now you might be saying, hey man, listen, I'm a meme coin investor. I put all my money in Doge and I now am a millionaire or something. And it's like, yeah, fair. Some people make it big from gambling, but 99% just end up hurt. And that's not really something that I want. That's not something I want for the others. I want people to be smart. I want them to be responsible. I want them to grow together, get wealthy. So meme coins, not an option for me, and I don't think it should be an option for anyone else. Real estate crowdfund. So this is what I was talking about. Basically, if you cannot buy a real estate yourself, you can do a real estate crowdfunding. So I don't know, you can buy like 10% of a real estate, and then you can also get like basically own a 10% of it, right? So then you own like 10% of the value, and if it gets rented, you can get like 10% of the rent and so on. Personally, I'm not a fan. I think it can work, but there are so many problems, so many struggles, even more than with the actual real estate, because then you actually end up owning it. But here, there are so many struggles. It's so inconvenient that I just would not go into this. You will have people telling you how great it is. I do not recommend this to anyone, but it can work. So I'll put it into like D tier. ETFs, straight up S tier. So basically ETFs, very similar to index funds. You can think of like NASDAQ and so on, right? So again, multiple stocks bunch into one, lowers the risk, makes it more stable, and usually delivers on a solid yield every year, which is why ETFs are the king in the S tier, along with index funds and 401k, IRA, and Roth IRA. Finally, we have a savings account, and savings account is gonna go right into the C tier. Nowadays, the market, the economy is not that great. The interest rates are not that great. So having a savings account is not really going to cut it usually. And that's if you're really, really lucky, you are going to beat the inflation. But the inflation also has been pretty high in the recent years. So you might have actually not even been beating inflation with savings account. The risk is a lot lower than, let's say, compared to index funds. But the reward is so much worse that I don't think there's a point in savings account if you can do like index fund. That being said, it's definitely so much better than not investing or just having your money lying in the bank. So I think we did quite a solid tier list. Let's start on the bottom. We have the F tier, something you should not even look at, not even think about, not touch, nothing to have to do with. D are things that might be viable, like having a life insurance, obviously, like having your money in the bank. But these are not investment techniques, really. I don't think they're viable, and I think stuff like real estate crowdfunding or going to your financial advisors, it's probably gonna be worse than better for you. In C tier, you have the safe options, so you will not go wrong with bonds. You will not go wrong with savings. You will not go wrong either with dividend stocks, even though I'm not a fan. But it's just that you probably can do better. Now, here's a tricky one. Crypto is just supposed to stand for Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum. I would not say crypto is better than the stuff in the C tier. However, I do think that, like being invested in Bitcoin, although more volatile, is probably like overall a better investment than these things will do for you, but only if you are like smart about it or invested in a certain point. Because if you bought at the high, then it's not good. Like buying it right now, I'm not sure about it, but overall it has been a pretty good investment for me. But I still wouldn't advise it. Like this B tier, I should just change it to like high risk or something. That's about it. So we don't have a B tier now. And now A tier, real estate and stocks. I think that just makes sense. Something that can yield you pretty well, but it's a bit more complicated. And then finally in the S tier, we have the index funds and ETFs, which is very similar, just mimicking the market, getting very good yield for not as much of a risk. And then we have like 401k, IRA. Definitely something you should do if you're from the US. If you're not, check it out. Check out what is available in your country. That's about it for me. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. If you have additional questions, let me know. Keep in mind that I cannot officially offer any official financial advice, but I will definitely try to help you and Let's try to build wealth together. And remember, build freedom, not just fortune. See you in the next one. Bye.